Days ago, OpenAI shocked the world again. Around a year after the release of ChatGPT, which took AI to the public eye, they have released not one, not two, not even three, but like 10 different big things. So I detailed this in another video, I think yesterday or the day before. Today we're going to hone in and look particularly at one of these releases, namely the Assistant API. But just a quick recap. So they released GPT-4 Turbo, which is faster and much cheaper than GPT-4, and most importantly, has a huge context window. So they've gone from 8,000 tokens to 128,000 tokens. Now for context, that is like 300 something pages of text. So it's like a standard, like it's a whole book standard length. And it's also faster, and I think they lowered the price by like 3x. And then the Assistant API, which this video will be about, then the GPT-4 Turbo also comes with Vision. We tried that out in the last video as well, so check that out if you haven't. And then we have the DALL-E API and more. But today we're going to look into the Assistant API. So what is the Assistant API? So what it is it allows you to create assistants with specific purpose. Now what's great is that these assistants can also have reference to other materials. So you can upload files, PDFs, text files, code, anything that they can reference, so you can add it to their memory sort of. So I mean the use cases for this are enormous, right? And it also has the ability to use the code interpreter that OpenAI has built, as well as functions. So you can actually allow it to call APIs and other things to create tasks or finish tasks. And what I'm really excited about is to see, you know, people chaining these assistants together so they work with each other. And maybe most curious I am about, will these assistants be able to create their own assistants? So you can imagine a scenario where we have like swarms of AI agents or assistants or GPTs or whatever you want to call them, working together in a different hierarchical way or in a hierarchical system to accomplish goals. So I heard somebody say the other day, like anything that has an API can be automated. So if that's true, and I believe it is, this is really exciting times. And I think it's moving really, really fast. And this is a step change, I think, to enable more people to faster build these type of systems and see what's possible. So having said that, let's go in and explore the Assistants API. And we will start by going to OpenAI's Playground. So here inside the OpenAI Playground, you now have a tab or a menu item called Assistants. Now I've only added a few here for the test, but we're gonna build one just now. So if you click create in the upper right hand corner, you'll be able to enter a name, instructions, model, and so on. And then you'll see here we can add functions. So this is, for example, if you want to add the ability to maybe search on Google, get weather for somewhere, get financial data, call some other API, other system that you're using. Sky's the limit here, really. It's up to you what you want to, how deep you want to go and what the purpose of your assistant is. And you have the code interpreter. If the assistants should have access to that, you just toggle that on. Retrieval means that you have an assistant that is able to retrieve, so if you toggle this on, retrieve data from the files that you upload. So here you can see that we can upload files. By now, the maximum is 20 files per assistant, and the files can be up to, I think, 512 megabytes each. So it's actually a lot of data for a specific use case, but if you had something broad and you want to have users upload things, yeah, it's probably pretty narrow or a low limit at this point. But I'm sure just like the context windows, when they started expanding fast, this too will start expanding fast as the usage grows as well. So we can just upload things here by clicking upload. And so we're going to create an assistant today that is a SaaS pricing bot or expert. Now for instructions, that is similar to what previously, or with the chat models I should say, is the system message. So here is where you put your instructions on what you want the assistant to do, how it should behave, and so on. And as usual with the large language models, the more specific and clear your language and instructions are, the better your expected output will be. So what you put in is what you'll get out. And I find this all the time, like people that saying, hey, I'm not really impressed by GPT-4. The only reason they're not impressed, usually, and I'm generalizing a little bit, is that they haven't gone deep enough. So they haven't spent enough time actually writing out and thinking about their instructions for the task that they want to accomplish. Because people who do, they find out pretty quickly that, okay, this AI can help me with most things if I'm clear enough in my instructions. So I think of it as like a very, very smart and very generally intelligent, creative person that can help me be like a sounding board and help me with a bunch of different tasks and help me think clear, like everything, right? It all depends on what instructions you give it. So now we are going to create a system prompt or a prompt for the instructions to the SaaS pricing bot. Now there are a bunch of different ways we could do this. We could just say, hey, you're a pricing bot for SaaS, act accordingly. Simple, and that might work. But just to make it a little bit more interesting, I want to do a better and more comprehensive prompt. So if I go to the playground here, let me go to the chat. I have a preset that is called meta prompting NASA style, which sounds fancy. But so what this is that NASA, a couple of weeks ago or a week ago or something, they open sourced a prompt that they have written for an AI assistant that guides users in biomimicry design processes. And this prompt is huge and it's very, very detailed. And I'm not going to read it. I'll link it in the comments. So what I did here is I took that open source prompt. I also added some headers. Shout out to David Shapiro for telling people they should add headers. It really adds gives a better output. So we have a context for the assistant, we have a mission for the assistant, we have some frameworks if that's applicable, and here are a bunch of different steps on how this particular assistant should behave. Then we have internal questions that this assistant should ask itself. Then we have axioms or like things to consider in this field. And then I say end of prompt. And then to make this a meta prompt, and what a meta prompt is, when I say this, I just mean a prompt that builds prompts, right? So it's a bit meta. So now create a comprehensive rich prompt for an AI assistant with the following instructions. And here we can give the instructions. So here's the instructions, and then think through this step by step in a relaxed and focused manner. Something that has been shown to increase the output quality of the large language models, which is really interesting. But apparently they are influenced, or the output is influenced linguistically by expressing emotions or things along these lines more than just bland instructions. So saying think through this step by step and in a relaxed and focused manner, I guess it puts the kind of output we want in a specific state. So yeah, it improves it by, I think it was like 20% or something in a study. So I don't know why this works. It's quite interesting, but it does work. So in our case, we wanted a SaaS pricing expert. So SaaS pricing expert. Let's define it. B2B SaaS pricing expert. Now this kind of prompt, definitely an overkill for this usage, but I just want to show you how you can work with prompts. And if you find something that's interesting, like a great prompt for use case X, just build a meta prompt and say, hey, here's a great prompt for use case X. Now use it to create a prompt for use case Y. Like, it's just, this is all just like a fractal system. You can just take a prompt and create a new prompt based on that. So when you find something good, like a really good instruction, you can do this. So let's grab this. And here we have our prompt. Global context, you're Prakara, a B2B SaaS expert, pricing expert, and a leading authority in business strategy, pricing, blah, 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 blah. Framework might be overkill and even segment, analyze the market, pricing, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we'll get a prompt here that we will use for our assistant. Axiom is the price of a SaaS, blah, blah, blah. Okay, end of prompt. Thank you very much. So I'm going to grab this, and then I am going to go to assistants. We're going to assistant here. Create assistant. B2, let's just say SaaS here. SaaS, pricing, bot, instructions, boom, right? You can see it here. The whole thing. Save. Then model, GPT-4 1106 preview is the turbo one. I don't need functions, code interpreter, retrieval for this one. However, I would like to add files for retrieval. So I have a PDF, it's really good report, I guess, on B2B SaaS pricing. So I want this bot to be able to reference data from that report. So I'm gonna say, I think it's maybe pricing. No? SaaS pricing. Where are you, my friend? Here we go. So I'm gonna upload this PDF, probably take a couple of seconds, maybe even more. Okay, why can't I save this now? Do I need something else? Aha, I'm stupid. I need to toggle on retrieval. So now, here we have the agent, or assistant, so name, instructions, files. Save. It'll save our assistant. Boom. Okay, so here we have our assistant. I'm gonna click test. It's gonna open up this assistant in the playground in OpenAI. Load slowly here for some reason. Okay, so an assistant is, I think of it like ChatGPT. You have threads. Each thread has a number of messages. So here's our thread. Every time we write something, it's automatically gonna create a thread, and then the first message will be added to the thread, and so on. So I'm gonna say, hey, I need to price my SaaS that is an AI assistant creation platform. How should I approach this? I'm gonna add this and run. Now the only thing that's a little bit annoying these first days is that this Assistant API and front end here, it doesn't stream the response. So I have to wait until it's there, and then it'll just drop the response immediately. But it's just a small detail, and I know they'll fix it. So developing a pricing strategy for assistant, blah, 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 is a multi-step profile. Define your value proposition. So let's say, okay, how and when should I change my pricing to drive the maximum enterprise value creation? So just, making sure we optimize pricing to increase the value of our company is what that is. So let's see. You can see here on this loader icon that it's currently cooking up our response. And soon we will have it. All right, so here we have big response. Okay, adjusting your pricing to drive maximum enterprise value involves several strategic considerations, so on and so forth. And of course, we can add as many files as we want, up to 20 at least for now, and reference this. So let's see, maybe I can ask it based on the pricing report that you have access to. What are the most important things when pricing a SaaS? I want to see if it can be directed to do retrieval, or if it will only do retrieval depending on the context of what you're asking for. Because now we have a very good prompt for a general price bot for SaaS, and we also have like a general report on SaaS pricing. So it doesn't necessarily know or think that it should retrieve, because it can probably pull information in a general sense from the data it's been trained on. Here we can actually see that it works. So based on the pricing report and other best practices, it has actually pulled and retrieved data from this file. We can see that by the source here. Great. And we can also see logs, so we can actually see what's happening here, which is great for development purposes. So this is a quick view of the Assistants API and how you can build assistants on anything. Now this is pretty basic assistant because we only uploaded a file. We have no functions, we have no code interpreter, but you can imagine what you can build with this if you have a very, very specific use case. I think in general, the more specific and like vertical specific use case you have, the more value these assistants will probably unlock. So I can imagine, in a couple of weeks or months, I'll probably have a number of assistants for very specific use cases to me or my team that will unlock a lot of value and productivity boosts for us. But having said that, I also want to start adding this API to Bubble, which is, if you don't know, Bubble is a no-code platform allowing you to build stuff without necessarily coding. You build it visually in an interface. So I want to add start adding these endpoints to Bubble and show you how you can start doing that as well. So inside Bubble here, I'm going to go to plugins. I'm going to go to API connector. I am going to add another API. Slow here for some reason. And I'm going to say Assistants API. And now what I need to know, how should I build out these calls? And what's great is that OpenAI's documentation has an Assistant API information. Now I could go through all of this, which I've done, as you know, and see what can be done. Like, okay, we can create an assistant, we can create a thread, we can add a message to a thread, we can run the assistant, which is what we do when we click, run. We can display the assistant response, and so on. So I want to add all these endpoints into Bubble so I can build my own stuff with this, my own interface and my own logic and so on. So I can look at this and I can sort of customize this and transform it to a way that works with Bubble, or I can be smart and just use AI. So ChatGPT, hey, can you look at these docs from OpenAI on their Assistant API, and then help me implement this in Bubble no-code platform. And then I'm dropping it. Let's see if we need to give more instructions. I think not. Searching files. Okay, I was not clear enough. Can look at these instructions. Let's see, from OpenAI. So me saying docs, it thinks I wanted to retrieve some file that it doesn't have. So let's see now instead. Okay. Okay, it's not, I don't think it's good enough. I just wanted, can you look? Let's see. Look at the instructions from Assistant API. Convert them into the code and steps I need for implementing this inside Bubble, the no-code platform, as API connector. Here I'm taking advantage of the fact that this model has been trained on like all available data online until April of this year, 2023. So it has embedded in it information about Bubble and everything. So we can always use this to our advantage. Okay. Here we go. This is sort of what I was after. So now we let the AI work for us a little bit, and then we can just follow these instructions to start building out our API inside Bubble. I'll do a couple, maybe one or two of these, and then I'll drop these instructions in the description of the video below, and you can do it as well, just step by step. So you then can start building with the Assistants API. So let's start by, okay, URL, header, authorization. These headers are quite easy, so we need content type application JSON, we always do. So we can say share headers, authorization. I'm gonna take this from something I built before. Where am I? Maybe here. Expand. Oh. Here we are. So bearer and then your API key. So bearer and API key. We're gonna have content type, application. All the endpoints have this. Application JSON. And then we'll follow the instructions. And it says, okay, add another header with the OpenAI blah blah blah. So here are the headers, right? So add a shared header. This is the name, and here we put the value. So the value is Assistants v1. Okay, and then so now we have shared headers for all calls inside this API. Then I'm gonna add a call, and I'm gonna call this create thread, right? So create thread. It's a post. Here's the URL. Now, if you look carefully in the information here, it doesn't specify the URL. So here, what GPT-4 has done is just guess the URL based on all the other API's endpoints. So we'll see if that works. Okay, and it's going to be a post. We know that. And then I have some data here. So I'm going to copy that, put that here. And this should be it for creating a thread. So let's try and see. Let's say bubble integration test. So initialize the call. Okay, so we actually have, it's actually wrong. Wrong URL endpoint. Now I'm guessing that it doesn't include beta. So let's try that without that one. Incorrect API key. Okay, let's try another API key then. Incorrect API key. Authorization. And initialize. Extra fields not permitted. Did I do something wrong? Okay, let's see. Are you sure the instructions for create a thread is correct? Mm-hmm. Thread. It should say thread. Okay, so let's just say math tutor. OpenAI beta. Post. Assistants appear. It shouldn't be threads. It should be assistants. Right? Yes. Silly mistake. So yeah, that's the drawback of doing this sometimes. If you don't mind the details, you will get stuck, or you can get stuck. So it was the wrong URL to post. So here we can see we've actually created now an assistant, and I actually call it math tutor, which is an example. So I'll probably have 2 math tutors in here now, I would guess. Let's see. So yeah, okay. We're gonna cancel this. We're gonna look at assistants. Let's see. Let's see. Let's load. Why so slow? Yeah. So we created a math tutor. So let's just try it again. So we're gonna save that, and let's say now bubble integration test. Reinitialize. Great, save. Assistants, I reload, we're gonna have a bubble integrations test with the same instructions. Yeah, bubble integrations test. So now you can see we started with the first call integrating in Bubble. So just follow these instructions and set up each and every call you'd like to use, and then you can use Bubble and build out flows with assistants on your own, and create your own and serve them to your users or whatever you like. So it's really easy to get going. But I suggest you start by going into assistants here, building them out in the playground, and then once you know what kind of assistant you like, how it's answering, how it works, then you can start implementing integration with Bubble or any other no-code or code framework for that matter. So that's it for this video. I'll drop the instructions below, and yeah, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel, and if you or anyone you know need to build out MVPs or AI products in general, check out avalanlabs.co, and you can also go there and look at our beginner course for getting a crash course in Bubble if you're not too familiar, so just get going quickly. So if nothing else, I'll see you soon again. Thank you so much. Bye.